if you want to run towards something that you want, it's really useful to be running away from something you truly don't want. If you're not motivated by fear to move forward, then your fear's in front of you stopping you. Because you might think, oh my God, I can't take the risks necessary to attain these goals. What if something goes wrong? There's risks to proceeding, but nothing compared to the risks of failing. So then the fear is behind you, pushing you forward. That's so you need a vision of hell. It's like, okay, what's your personal vision of hell? You let your life fall apart because of your own stupidity and your own blindness. It's like you're the worst place you could be in 5 years. Well, that's what we ask people to write about. Well, I'd rather go out and party tonight. I shouldn't be working on this. I'd rather go out and party. It's like, well, why not? It's like your time is worth $25 an hour, something like that, because of its potential for future payoff. It's okay. Well, that's $1,000 a week. Right, so it's $4,000 a month, it's $50,000 a year. In 4 years, it's $200,000. So that's what wasting your day is costing you. It's like, let's make no mistake about it. You're going to be $200,000 poorer in 4 years because you're wasting your time. Is that really what you want to do? You're rich enough so that you're willing to forego that $200,000. Well, no one's ever sat them down and said, look, put an estimate out of the value of your time. Figure out how much of it you're wasting, and then ask yourself if you really think that that's a good idea. Because it's actually not a good idea, and I don't think anybody thinks it's a good idea. Procrastination needs no explanation. The answer to should you do something difficult and energy intensive is no, because it's difficult and it's energy intensive, right? So there actually has to be your default position can easily be, no, I'm not going to do that difficult and intensive thing. There should be some internal resistance to doing that because it's costly. Okay, well, but then you think, well, wait a second, there are conditions under which investing in something intensive and energy demanding is appropriate. Well, yeah, but you got to specify the conditions. Like, why should you listen to yourself? You could think about it this way. Why should you listen to yourself if you're an idiot? You know what I mean? If you don't have a plan, your body's thinking, no, I'm just going to sit here and take it easy because who knows when the next antelope is going to come along so I can kill it. I'm just going to lie here like a lion and wait. Yeah. It's like, no, you need a reason that that's a bad idea. That you can have a vision of the future and a counter vision. And that you, not only can you have it, you need that. It's without that you won't move forward against your procrastination, and you need real reasons, and terror is a good one. To lay out a vision of yourself as a weak failure 5 years down the road should be sufficient, and to really think through what that means, right? You're sick of yourself, you're bitter, you're resentful, you're angry, you're physically ill, you're depressed, you're anxious, you're hopeless, and you're of no use to anyone. So you're also making not just yourself miserable, but that you're actively setting out to make the people around you miserable because you're so angry, and you're not good for them. It's like, then you think that through. Is that the way that I want to live my life? Minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. It's like, hopefully, if you really think that through and you allow yourself to feel it, then you think, no, how about we don't do that? That sounds like a bad idea. We'll just not go there.
Things that you can actually control. I do believe, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, I don't, but I do believe that work ethic is a taught behavior. It's something you do have more control over. I think, and you know what really sealed the deal for me? Getting healthier. I was 38 years old and it didn't come natural to me. Like, it didn't come natural to me at all. I hate the gym. I hate it now. I hate it, I don't like it, I don't want to do it. But I knew it was important. And somewhere around midway through being 38 years old, I got serious. I figured out my system. I made the financial commitment, and I've won, right? And I'll never lose again because the system was I needed to be accountable to another human being. So it was about Mike and now Jordan and whoever else is my trainer. I'm doing it almost weirdly more to not let them down and so that was the shift. And so I feel like there's a shift that can make people work harder. The big one that I push is you're gonna die. Like if you're to me, life is broken down into complaining and not. So if you're not complaining, well then I have no advice for you. I'm pumped. Like, you did it. Like I have friends who make $42,000 a year, work 9 to 4, kind of, with an hour and a half lunch and 45 minutes of YouTube and 10 minutes of bullshitting and an hour of complete waste of time in a meeting. So they're kind of working like 6, hours a week, right? But they're pumped. Right. And they text me, these are high school friends, and they'll text me like how happy they are to be the coach of their kids' baseball team. And that's amazing. Like that seems very obvious to me. That's right. What's super weird? I'm actually weirdly envious. It sounds cool, like in theory, right? Grass is always greener, right? Like far less pressure, like all that time with my kids, oof, that would be cool. Like there's just like all these things that I can justify. So to me, but I have friends who have $100 million in the bank because of Facebook's IPO, who complain, who are still hungry, who want to do even more, who will complain to me because they know I work a lot about no work-life balance and they don't get to spend enough time with their family. And I'm like, you have $100 million. Like you could stay home, like you're in control. Like don't complain about it. You've made that choice. Don't bullshit me. Like you want to spend more time with your family? Spend more time with your family. This is back to what we said about keyboard warriors. I'm trying to be very careful about what I'm saying versus what I'm doing, because that's how you get exposed. And I don't mean like people calling you out and being like, you suck. I mean to yourself. I don't want to be exposed by myself. It's looking yourself in the mirror and saying like, am I doing this right? So to me, there's so many people that are talking shit about how big of an entrepreneur they're gonna be and how much they're gonna achieve, and they don't work on weekends. I worked every Saturday of my 20s. And I talk to 20-year-old entrepreneurs every single day. Lately, I've been saying to them, this Saturday, you're gonna have more time off than I've had in my entire 20s on a Saturday. So before you tell me how you're gonna be bigger than me, start thinking about.
And this might shock you when I tell you, I don't believe in the word procrastination. I don't really believe in that word. I told a young lady in Australia who told me she was a procrastinator. I said, look, if I told you to meet me here tomorrow at 5 a.m. and I'm gonna give you $3 million, where would you be? She said, I'll be right there at 4:59, ready to get that $3 million. And I said, so then there's no such thing as procrastination. What it is it's not important to you, right? It's not meaningful to you. It's not something that's urgent to you. And when something is not urgent, you put it off. So yep, you're in school, yes. You probably are getting grades, etc. But if it's not meaningful to you, if it's not important to you, then you're not gonna make it a priority. So what you have to do is find out, how can you make it meaningful? How can you make it purposeful? How can you make it stick? And when you can find that out, I promise you'll get up early, you'll get there first, and you'll do whatever it takes to make that goal a reality. So for me, no such thing as procrastination. It's a such thing as it's not a priority.
According to a recent study, 40% of people have experienced financial loss due to procrastination. When it comes down to procrastination, a few things you got to be thinking about that'll help you out. Number one, every time you have a new project that comes to you, first thing you do is once you accept it, make a list of what you need to do next. Listicle. So for instance, what do I need to do here? Step number one, do this. Number two is this. Number three is this. Number four is this. Number five is this. Number six is this. Okay, let me send that email, number one. Number two, let me make that phone call to this person. Number three, I got to get that thing back. And then I'm good to go. Hey, Johnny, can you make that phone call to Bobby? Get him on the phone. I got to talk to him about this. You're already halfway to getting your assignment done. So you accept the responsibility. You take an assignment instead of procrastinating. Immediately make a listicle of what to do. Number two, create a reward system. If I finish this, here's my reward. Sometimes it's very simple. If I get this part done, I'm going to go out there and go to this place and eat. If I get this part done, I'm going to go out there and do this. If I go and work out 5 days a week this week, on Sunday, I'm going to go out there and get myself this. If you read this book every day for 5 days, the kids are gonna get this. But there's gotta be a listicle, and then there's gotta be a reward system added to it. The next thing is to have smaller victories that are getting you excited to develop the muscle of getting projects done. Sometimes you simply have a list and you get the list done. That builds confidence to know, look, even this morning I made my bed. Right after making my bed, I brushed my teeth. I made something for my kids early in the morning before I left. Man, this is good. I got a lot of stuff done here. It's victories. I'm getting small things done. So now when a bigger responsibility comes, your muscles being built up for this big one, you get that part done, and that's a massive victory for you. So again, listicle, number one, add a carrot to it once you get it done, create small victories that lead to the big one, and last but not least, the times where you have to do something, that you really don't want to do. There's a lot of projects that I have to take as a company that I really don't want to do, but I know it's getting me closer to the vision. Always sell the vision to yourself and the people involved in that project. For example, guys, listen, I know nobody wants to be doing this right now. We're here at 11 o'clock at night, and we got a lot of better things that we can do than being here at 11 o'clock. I'm sure you'd love to be with your family. You probably would love to be Netflix and chilling with your newest girlfriend. You'd probably love to be playing soccer right now, but here's what we're doing it for. The reality is this. If we get this together, this project's gonna get us closer to XYZ, and you can get closer to getting your promotion, you can get closer to doing this, and collectively we can say we were part of this project. So you do that both with your team, and you gotta be able to psych yourself out too when you're working on a project all by yourself and nobody's there. If you don't psych yourself out when you're by yourself on a project you're working on that is a have to, you'll eventually get bored out of your mind and you say, you know what, I'm just not in the mood. So, because the whole thing we talked about with boredom earlier, there's a lot of things I do as a CEO and an entrepreneur that's boring. A lot of things. But because the vision is so big and exciting and the legacy excites me and the history excites me, I do it anyways.